Hi guys, good morning. Week number 3, right? Um, I hope you had a great weekend. And this video will be about this week, what we've done so far, some updates, what we have for this week, and of course, I'm going to go um, um, over the chapter that we have for this week, which is chapter number 4. Okay. All right, grading. Concerning the learning from practice that you had, in general, I have my notes here pretty well. The mean score of the class is 88%. Now, I saw a couple of silly mistakes. I'm sure you know the right answers. Um, just don't rush it, right? Go over the PowerPoints, go over the video, and those items in those assessments and those laws are not very challenging on purpose, right? I just want you to go over the material more. That's it. So just be a little bit more careful, and that's pretty much it. On average, we did very, very well. Also, two groups, Group 1 and Group 2, submitted their LPs, Learning from Practice. I have already graded them, and I have sent them individual feedback. What I want to say in general is that I want everybody, right, in the future to submit by a Moodle, right? If you don't submit, and you saw that in our syllabus, that's very, very important for several reasons. I want you to submit your work through our site, Moodle site. Okay, that's very, very important. It's crucial, and I want you to do it that way. Okay, this time, and because they went first, I had to be lenient. I told them because they were the first groups, and I will be, right? Even with the groups, I will go first with the PDOs, and I'm going to go over that in a little bit. But, right, I'm talking about the future. All groups, including groups 1 and 2, have to submit their work via Moodle. Okay, I want to make this crystal clear. All right, now, I'm going to share my screen. Let me see. All right. Cool. One person dropped the class and another person joined the class. And I put that new person, we can go right here at the forum, right? And I put that new person in group 4. So you go down here, it says groups updated. So I want to welcome Connor in our class. And I put him in group 4, mostly to give him a little bit of time because you don't have to submit any LPs or PDOs for this week, but for next week. Since I'm here, I want to say that for LP3 and LP4 that I'm going to show you, we have groups 3, right, and groups 4. So I put Corner in here so he didn't have to miss anything, and I didn't want him to start with a PDO. And for our first PDOs, right, we have group 6 and group 5, okay? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let me see if I can share some Word documents that I had opened. Maybe I closed them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go back here. What I want to say is that, go back. One more. You can find more information about the LPs and the groups here, the PDOs here. In our forum, I'm going to be publishing everything you need to know and I need to communicate. One important thing about next week, except for LO4 that we have to submit by Sunday, right? And then, as I said, we have LP3, LP4, and then we have PDO1 and PDO2. Also, is week 3. And I told you I was thinking about it. And right here, you see that we have a synchronous meeting. Synchronous meaning that means that it's going to be on a specific time. It's not going to be like this. It's not going to be something that I'm going to share and it's going to be recorded. So you can participate. You don't have to participate, but if you do participate, you're going to get extra points. All right, I'm going to give you 10 extra credit points. I want us to and I have all the information here. I want all of us, to come together, talk a little bit, tell me how it's going, especially groups 5 and 6 that have any questions about their PDOs. We can just come together and see each other's faces, talk a little bit, and see what's up. When is it? It's on Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's for 45 minutes. If you can't make it, it's fine. It's just something additional, extra that I want to offer, just in case you have issues or questions or feedback or ideas or anything. Okay? Just something additional. If you can't make it, don't stress about it. You can always email me or you can talk with me tomorrow during office hours. Just if you can make this one, be great. I'll give you 10 extra points. Good? All right, I'm going to stop sharing this. What else did I want to say? I think I covered pretty much everything for that. I think it's about time to go and see what's up with chapter 4, right? Professional organizations today. Let me share my screen again and start PowerPoint. All right. See my clicker works. Oh yeah. All right. So chapter 4, professional sport, right? And by professional, before I say anything else, we're talking about organizations that they are in the top of their field, right? Here, I just want to set the ground a little bit. And also we talk about professional in the terms of professional players, meaning that they can sustain their lifestyle by whatever they pay playing that sport or getting involved in this industry. If they need additional income, then it's not something we're talking about today. We're not defining as professional for the purpose of this class and for this chapter. So we're talking again about one, organizations that are on the top of their field. Those are the professional organizations we're talking about in sport today, and professional players. That's the two. The second characteristic: players that can pretty much lead their lifestyle, lead their lives by whatever they're getting paid playing sports or being involved in this industry. All right. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about define a little bit of professional sport. What is circuits of promotion? What are more specifically the sports circuits? Right. The very important role of media. The equally important role of sponsorship, um, the management of players, and because they've become so big because of professionalism, they need specific management, and maybe one of you want to go that way. And then the professional organizations, how they're getting, or the owners who are deciding, and which are the criteria. How do they decide about the outcomes? How do they define performance? What are they looking for? Okay. And since I'm here, I want to talk. I want to say about the group 3 and 4 that are going to do their LPs for Sunday. Read the chapter first. Watch the video first. I want you to have light, not a lot of words in your slides, plenty of comments in that area. And I want you to use terminology. I want you to use stuff from the chapter. I want you to connect it. I want you to show me, because they are practical cases that have to do with the chapter that we're talking about, right? We're talking about application of all these theories that we're going to talk about today. Use terminology, make me understand that you understand the chapter, right? Make some connections. Okay, just a hint. All right, what is professional sport? um, First of all, as you understand, when we talk about professional sport, they take a huge share of the economy, and also they affect society on multiple levels. Now, there's a debate, you know, because of, imagine about like NFL, right? Every week when the season is on, you know, we have one, two, three, four, five, six, whatever games these days, and some other games the next day, and so on and so forth. How much of the economy, um, how much the economy is getting affected by those games? The local economy, the state economy, and even the whole country's economy. When we take it further, even the global economy, right? And then how much, like as a society, are we getting affected by a game that is will be played in our city today? Let's say we live in Boston, okay? So it is a huge player for the economy. It is a huge factor of the way our society in general functions, whether we like it or not. Okay, and how many people, because there's a cluster of financial opportunities and activity happening around the stadium. We're going to talk about media, sponsorship. So much is going on. Fans going there, playing tickets, watching it, paying to watch it on TV, buying memorabilia. There's so much going on, right? Managers, agents, coaches, there's so much, doctors, athletic trainers, companies that sell equipment, companies that are getting sponsored. There's so much going on just by one NFL game, right? Even the guy at the corner of the stadium selling hot dogs, right? So no matter on which level we see it, there's so much going on. So we owe to the industry a lot because it produces a lot financially. Okay, it's a stimulus for the economy. However, there are people, you know, we're going to see that we could be using those resources in something more essential, more important, or to cover more basic needs. You have, you know, so much poverty, there's so much disease. We could be using all these resources, for example, to that we use to build a stadium or to pay an athlete. And we're going to talk about how much they're getting paid in a little bit, giving you some examples about football or soccer, right? To actually cover some real needs of our society that we don't really need to spend that much for something that's not essential, that is just entertainment, right? We're going to try to give you some information that I don't have an answer for that debate, and there's no wrong or right answers. They're just arguments. Um, the shift from amateur to professional happened started from the 30s. It was even then it was strictly amateur, and then slowly we have the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, right? And now pro sport, you cannot just take it out of the society. You can. It's just an essential part, whether we like it, whether we don't like it, whether we don't like it, whether you are on the side that says, it's the apex of the supporting our community, or you are more of a person that believes that it's soaking the resources that we need from in the economy to attack other essential needs. All right. There's a lot of growth, right? For example, even football, that was collegiate. There used to be some games here and there, and then it became so popular. And as I said, in the 70s and especially in the 90s, now we have something that's called NFL, right? And in the US, of course, it's the most popular sport. And you all know, right, how how much it has grown and how big it is. Let me give you an example about a sport that is not that big in the US, but it's number one sport globally. Let's talk about football, right? Let's not talk about American football. Let's talk about football or soccer. And these are, this is a list that we got from Forbes, and it's from 2017. So imagine now the numbers are even higher. Okay, so you see here the highest value teams, and you see on the left side the teams, and then we have a second column, which is the country and then the value. We're talking about a lot of money, right? We're talking about a lot of money. What do we see here? We see here like names that I think we all know, you know, Manchester United and Barcelona, Real Madrid. And we see on the second column that it's a global phenomenon, right? There are not a lot of players, right? There's Premier League in England, right? There's Spain, there's Germany with Bundesliga, and there's one from Italy, Juventus, that you know now who is playing in Juventus, right? Cristiano Ronaldo. So this is Serie A. That's the name of championship there. So it's a global phenomenon. A lot of players, and those four players have the most uh, financially valued teams. All right, let's stop here for a second. Let's talk about secrets of promotion. Promotion in professional sport is very important, and there are circuits that are happening here. What do we mean by that? As you can see, there's the word interdependent. So events and promotion of products during those events are independent, and they're so dependent at this point that we don't we don't really know if if the event is more important than the product, or the product is more important than the event. Okay, I'll give you some examples, and you'll see why I say that. Let's talk about Jordan. Jordan, was a very good player. He came from the collegiate level. He went to pro. He went pro. He went to the NBA. He was signed by Nike, right? In the beginning, it was a great deal for Jordan, and then Jordan became bigger and bigger and bigger. He got his own line of clothing and shoes, and that really helped Nike grow, right? It was a great choice of an athlete from Nike, and that they stole him from Adidas. Awesome. Then Jordan became that big that, as we know, he was playing, for the Bulls mainly. So he was playing in the NBA. So NBA was getting bigger because Jordan was one of the players in that league, right? We then again made Nike even bigger. And now we have some secondary sponsors like Gatorade. So that all that was happening with Nike and NBA was benefiting Gatorade as well. And then as Gatorade became bigger from Jordan, that came back and helped Nike and the NBA. So we're talking about, an athlete, which is a unique example, but it can show us that bi-directional relationship between the the sport event, the sport athlete, or whatever you want to call it, and a product that's being promoted, and how one helps the other, and it's a win-win situation for both, and they just grow bigger, both of them, and that affects other players that come into. So again, as you see, there's a continuous commercial benefit and endless opportunities. So again, it's so big. It is so big that today we don't really know which one is like the bigger player. Is the event that helps the product? Is the product that helps the event or the athlete? The bottom line is that there's a very strong relationship. It's very important, and it's here to stay. Okay, let's talk about circuits. Circuits here, we talk about events that happen, let's say, on a weekly bi-weekly basis, and they're global. Even if they happen in a country, and I'll explain a little bit, they have an effect, but it's global. For example, NASCAR, there's a season and there's a race, different cities, and that gives an opportunity to the organizers and the sponsors and everybody involved. Yeah, they have to move. However, they can affect directly uh, the economy of each state as they're moving. Let's say they go to Texas or they go to Florida, right? And they race, and that's a circuit. Okay. Now we have another example of the European Champions League. Again, we're talking about football or soccer, right? Here, we have teams that come from European countries that getting the best teams are going to play for the Champions League for Europe, and then they play against each other. And then it happens every year, and every year there's a different city that hosts the final game. And it's a big thing, but those games happen every week for the season, right? And as you win, you move to the next phase, and that's another example of the circuit. Then we have the tennis, the ATP tour, that doesn't happen in one country. It doesn't happen in one continent either, right? We have Australian Open, we have the US Open, and more, right? So that's another example. You have Formula One, okay? And you have one question about the circuits. Now, Formula One, and especially this year, is the calendar for Formula One has been so messed up because of COVID, right? And they're like races canceled and new races being promoted. And like yesterday was in Italy, right? So usually, there are contracts with specific cities, countries, whatever, that they have a circuit that they can use, and they will have races there, like Monza, Italy. There are races that have been canceled every year for some reason. There are others that are being promoted or being added in the calendar. But again, that's another example of an event that happens every week for the season until the end of the season, and it happens in different countries. Now, if you go to the Olympics or the World Cups, we have a different case, like because it happens every 4 years, right? And you have that bid process, which means some cities are going to submit their file and their proposal. They're going to try to prove that they are capable of doing it and that their economy can support it. And then, they move to the next phase. And then you pick one city in the World Cup or for the Olympics. So for the World Cup, sometimes it's more than one city, like a country. Um, and you can have a government support because, for example, for the Olympics or the World Cup, it's a great thing about the country, right? And there's a lot, of course, happening with the broadcast rights, and we're going to talk about media in a little bit. That's a huge component for all of this because, yeah, you can go watch one race when it comes to NASCAR or F1, Formula One, but you can just most likely travel all around the country or the world to watch all of them. So you have to watch them on TV. If you want to watch them on TV, is it pay-per-view? Are you going to pay? Which one? Which is the, let's say for television, which one is going to pay the most? And based on what, you have the exclusive rights to broadcast the World Cup, the Olympics, the US Open, or the final for the Champions League. Media. All right. Huge player. It has become such a huge player that, there's there is a fear that media now pretty much control the media control professional sport. And I'm going to prove my point in a little bit. So in general, media, can have that informational role, meaning that, you read the newspaper, you can just find statistics and find a lot of information about the game that took place yesterday or 2 days ago, and just maybe you watched one game on TV, but then, I mean, your favorite team, and then you want to see what's going on with the other teams. You couldn't watch it, and you go there to find information of what happened, or also information about games for next week. If there's any injuries, who's going to play against what, and what's going on, and all of that. Also, though, it's entertainment, right? And you know that you sit down with your friends, you may order some pizza, and watch a football game. That's great. And when we talk about media, you can see, print, radio, TV, internet, but mostly we talk about TV and internet because now you can watch pretty much everything, even through your smartphone, using your smartphone, even if you have to pay. But there is that possibility, right? Now, let me go to that idea or opinion. Media are so strong now, and professional sport are so dependent on media that, excuse me, we may not have a healthy relationship, right? Now, for those of you who know about hockey, did you know that Disney owns a part of that hockey team? Most times when I ask that in class, most people, don't really know about that. And then I ask a second question. Who owns ESPN? Who owns most of the shares for ESPN? And then I give them the answers. I'm like, do you know that Disney Corporation owns most of ESPN? So could somebody argue that since I own the medium, right, and then I own a specific team, I may say specific stuff because I can, and that could be beneficial for my corporation, right? I could. So you see that that's just an example. That's just an example. And that notion of media being too strong and may control professional sport comes from the actual facts that back in the day, tickets were more important than the fees that the teams would make from broadcasting. Today, it's the opposite. See Olympics, see NFL, see any kind of professional organization in sport. Broadcasting and media are like, before you organize anything, you go there and you try to make as much money as possible because that's your main source of income. In later chapters, we're going to talk about, and some of you have some cases to submit about things like that. Do we negotiate money as a league, like all of us, NFL, or do we let each team negotiate by themselves? Anyway, that's another. But that question again arises because there's so much money. Okay? Just remember that. All right. Sponsorship. Why do we sponsor something? Right? Why does your favorite team pick a sponsor that they're going to put right here on their jersey? And why does that specific sponsor will pick your team and not any other team? All right? We're talking now, again, it's about marketing. Okay? You want to have a strong brand name, and that gives you exposure. Okay? So if Audi, just giving an example, wants to be on your favorite NFL team jersey, there have to be specific reasons why Audi wants to do with your team. Maybe it's a geographical location. Maybe it's the target group that they know your fans are. Maybe they know their rivalries are very strong over there and they want to get stronger as well. Maybe, they know because it's a German corporation that NFL is the #1 sport here, and they want to invade the U.S. economy. That's the best way to do it. There may be a lot of reasons. The thing is that, once you sell the rights for your jersey, you can only put them for a specific amount of time, and they hope that exposure will just give them a share of the market. Okay, and then you as a team, you decide what your price for that exposure. How many people are watching your games, for example. Also, we can have sponsors in other instances, just not just the jersey, right? Does anybody know, Patriots, right? Do you know the name of their stadium, right? What is it? It's Gillette. Why? Other NFL teams like Mercedes Benz. Why? Okay, so they give an amount usually during the construction, or they can even buy those rights after that, and they hope for exposure. So they have naming rights. Also, one of those groups you will just present about Red Bull. Red Bull. How is that? What's the name of the soccer team in New York? Exactly. If you know it, you know that Red Bull is a part of the actual name of the team. That's something that Red Bull does. But you see, there are many ways for sponsors to be included, involved, get exposure, and make money. Now, you can have a sponsor for NFL, your league. Then you can have, let's say, Bud Light. You can have a sponsor for your favorite football team, um, Gillette. And then you can have a sponsor for that an athlete can have. It can be completely relevant, Apple. And then, how many sponsors do you have for a specific event? See, Super Bowl, completely different thing, right? So the many opportunities, and that's why again, sponsors as media become stronger and stronger. All right, players. Players, as the sport got professional, players got professional, which means they earn a lot of money, and we're going to see an example in a little bit, which means again that it's not that simple, right? To manage those players. I'm sorry. I don't have COVID, and even if I did, well, it's just a video. All right, bad joke. Now, um, we need agents. Those professional players need agents, and IMG is pretty much an international organization, and they were the first ones who did that, and they started with golf. Okay, Octagon is their rivalry, and they do the same thing. They have less athletes, more like more quality, less quantity kind of thing. They advertise, Phelps and how much they help him. He did what he did in the pool, but then, they control everything where he would just like appear and from newspapers to ESPN shows, and they had a schedule for him and how much time he'll spend doing this and how much he'll spend doing that, and if he needs to publish a book later on, and what is he going to say. So they try to promote that idea that the athlete just has to be athlete, and then we'll take that and use it through marketing and help him make more money, get better deals. So they say, that's why we got him a deal with Speedo, and then with Visa, and then with Omega, and then with AT&T. So we took that success that he had in the pool and boom, made it even bigger in terms of financial success. All right. So there's a term here that I want you to remember, and I want you to use it even in your LPs. What is a multiple? Okay. I don't know if you watched the last week or two, Leo Messi kind of, there was a rumor that he wanted to leave Barcelona, and then they were like, wow, what if you go to Juventus, you play with, Ronaldo, and then it was like maybe he'll go to Manchester City because his old coach is there, so he's gonna play to he's gonna go and play in Premier League in England, right? A multiple is a player that he or she is a great player, and he's very successful. She's very successful. They're very successful, and they are an asset for their team and for the league. Why? If Leo Messi, he ended up staying in Barcelona, but if you would go, let's say, the Premier League or Serie A in Italy, right? If you would leave the Spanish league and go to another league, that would be a great thing for the league itself. Because then, if we just go to the broadcast rights, Premier League sell their broadcast rights as a league, all of them together, even to countries in Asia. That will increase the value tremendously. Okay, so that player is bringing value just by signing to that team, to the whole team. They can find, they can, they can make their sponsors just pay more because Messi is playing there, and then the Premier League as a whole can ask for their sponsors to pay more. Even media coverage, media fees now are going to go higher. So they are an asset in so many ways, right? As you can see, they can help them win games, secure fans to the gate, of course, right? Imagine how excited Manchester City fans would be, or even fans from other teams that they will just go and watch him play for the opposite team, but they just go and watch him play. Broadcast contracts, sponsorships, and merchandising. Imagine how many just jerseys, nothing else. How much money it would make just from Mercy jerseys if you would go to any team, just using Manchester City, because there was a lot of rumor behind it. So I want you to remember what a multiple is, okay? That's a great term. Imagine about LeBron James and so on and so forth. And also, if you're a soccer fan, right, remember David Beckham. I don't know if you remember him moving to Los Angeles Galaxy. That was an amazing thing for the U.S. Soccer League Championship, right? Overall, that showed to the world that we can attract these kind of players. So that was huge. Many good players followed his example, but that was like a crucial step to prove to the world that we have a soccer league good enough that we can attract players of that magnitude, because they bring so much value just by coming, right? And that's a multiple. Okay, 2017 Forbes again. Check the third column. Check the annual earnings. You see names, hopefully you know Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Bale, Ibrahimovic, who came and played in the US, right? Rooney, the same. So you can see very, very big names, and they even earn more now. So you can understand why they need management and how much money they can make, and why we call them multiples. Again, mainly cities from specific countries and specific, because we're talking about soccer and specific championships, leagues. All right, let's talk about ownership of professional teams. You may have a team. You may think that everybody would go for profit. No, really. Okay. Some people, you think about Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish League. This is so important that one beats the other. That sometimes that's the most important thing. They want to have that win. In general, just you need to understand that if a team wins the championship, they may not make a lot of money. right? Uh, the most successful financially team in the NFL is which one? Dallas Cowboys. When was the last time the Dallas Cowboys won the championship? So they have their performance indicator is profit, is not wins. All right, Manchester City could bring Messi and they could win the championship. But maybe they couldn't make profit or huge profit. Is that what they're looking for? Cool. Again, it really depends on what they're looking for as owners. Another thing that's cool here is that you don't want the same people to win over and over again because your product loses interest and the fans don't want to watch it if most likely the same person, the same team is going to win again. So yes, we have rivalries. We have Bulls against Celtics back in the day, and now we have the playoffs, and you can see really nice games there in the rivalries. But you don't really want the Patriots to win the NFL, the Super Bowl every year. That's not good. You want other very good teams because that creates an uncertainty, and you love uncertainty in sports. You don't want to know pretty much the outcome before it actually takes place. Okay, it's a weird thing, but that's how sport works. You hate the other team. You want to beat them, but you want them to be really really good. Okay. Now, and a great example of how you can maintain something like this is we can take the case of NBA or NFL, right? And think about the draft. The draft gives the opportunity of to weaker teams to draft players that are really good, and then it gives them opportunity to not always be that bad. Okay, so that again creates that uncertainty and creates more excitement in the sport because there is again an interdependency between the players. I want you to remember this: the actual competitor of NFL is what? It's NBA, right? It's the hockey league, it's the baseball league, and so on and so forth. They need to beat them. In order to beat them and have the most popular sport and bring the better sponsors and the highest fees for broadcasting, they have to keep the product really exciting. They have to keep the people interested. And the draft is one way to do it. All right, take home points. We're done for today. The media, sponsors, agents, owners, advertisers, leagues, clubs, and athletes are part of a self-sustaining commercial alliance. Commercial networks are the binding forces that are holding professional sports together in the 21st century. Since the middle of the 21st century, professional sport leagues and clubs have become major players in a multi-million dollar industry. That's all for me, guys. I want to wish you a great week. Tomorrow we have office hours. Don't forget the synchronous meeting. Don't forget you have one LO. We also have the LPs, 2 LPs for the groups, and we have for this week 2 PDOs. So group 3 and 4 and group 6 and 5, be extra cautious for this week. Everybody else, you only have the LO. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here for you. In the meantime, lift intentionally, not habitually. Bye, guys.